Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Joe Two in Love, here with your AEW Rampage review for May 6th, 2022. The quickest hour in pro wrestling is indeed that. I would say a decent episode of Rampage. We got the final Owen Hart Cup qualifier match between the women. We got Riho versus Yuka Sakazaki. Decent match between the two women. And a hell of a main event between, I'm sorry if I butcher his name, but Jay Lethal and Kokosuke Takeshita. I believe that's his name. Solid main event between those two. I mean, both those two really went to work in that main event. We know how good Jay Lethal is, and we have not seen Takeshita in over a year, or almost a year. So, good to see. But, yeah, mostly progressing and solid episode. But first, gotta get the shtick in. Thank you for joining me on the podcast today. If you're new to the podcast and if you want to see more pro wrestling reviews, you can find them on the homepage. Click the description there. Get notifications as far as AEW Dynamite and Rampage reviews are concerned. Pro wrestling reviews in general. But find those by clicking on the description. AEW Rampage started off in intriguing fashion. I would say Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter versus Toni Storm and Ruby Soho. This match has been kind of built up for weeks as all four women are in the Owen Hart Cup tournament, and a nice little preview in this match, and I'll go over the bracket for the women after the Yuka, Sakazaki, and Riho match, but yeah, this was a nice little preview of the tournament. Of course, we know 3 other women and a Joker will be involved in the tournament, but this was an alright match, The majority of the match was Toni Storm getting beat down, hot tag to Ruby, and then she ran rough shot. Ruby and, Toni Storm actually Alabama slammed Hayter on top of Britt. So there was that. And then behind the referee's back, there was a suplex, lariat, curb stop combination by Hayter and Britt for a near fall. In the end, though, Toni Storm rolled up Britt Baker for the win. So interesting stuff there. We know she will be facing Jamie Hayter in the first round of the tournament on Wednesday. And, I mean, we know it's a highly anticipated match. Tony Storm, I think, will get the W. And I imagine because we saw some of the looks and the words that were exchanged after match, I bet that more friction is going to happen between Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker. There was something on my computer was disconnected and now I'm confused. But nonetheless, onwards. So, we'll say it was refreshing for Rampage to start off with some entrances because the last couple weeks and the majority of Rampage has been diving right into the action and no entrances for the matches. I mean, that's one thing AEW has got to fix as far as Rampage is concerned. But that was a bit of a refresher. A. Kingston. So he called Chris Jericho. They were in commentary, and Excalibur made note that they were getting a call from the truck as Eddie Kingston was on the phone. He told Excalibur to shut up. He told Chris that his wife for 20 years has been able to piece them back together. But when he came home from that fireball, she cried and she looked terrified. And that is something he will never get back. So he vows to get his revenge, of course, on Chris Jericho. Jericho was just laughing. At the same time, he looked a bit timid, like having second thoughts, like about what he did. So, Tony Khan mentioned a while ago that AEW was going to have another Blood and Guts match, or War Games, whichever you want to say, over the summer. And this has been so far the only feud that warrants Blood and Guts. So, should be interesting. Toni, he was backstage March early. They made a challenge to an idiot, an undefeated prospect that people love, that is very popular. He said that next week in Long Island on Dynamite, Tony Nese's hometown, he will challenge Danhausen. Now, obviously, at first, I thought that he was going to challenge Hook, but as it progressed, you clearly tell that he was not going to challenge Hook, someone else, but I'm curious to see how it's going to go because we have not seen Danhausen in the ring on Dynamite so far. We know how good of an athlete Tony Nese is, so we'll see. We know. And speaking of which, Hook. Hook was next. He faced JD Drake. This was pretty academic. You know, Hook, he took a hard chop from Drake, which woke him up. I tell you, Hook went in a high throw on Drake. Very powerful is Hook. So Drake fired back some offense, went for a reverse suplex, but beautiful counter by Hook, rolled through like a standing rear naked choke position, but instead locked in the red rum. Hooks in. JD Drake had no choice but to tap. So there's that. Afterwards, so Danhausen, who was just challenged by Toni and Mark Sterling. He came out there to try to recruit Hook. Asked him because Sterling will be in the corner of Nice. He asked Hook to be in the corner of him. So Hook asked, or Danhausen asked for an answer. Apparently, they made up Hookhausen shirts already, which was kind of strange. So, offered his hand, but Danhausen got antsy. So, put his hands on Hook. Hook shoved him down. And then Danhausen left I think a bag of chips, or I'm not sure, beef jerky, but it's one of those two with a bow on it because apparently it's Hook's birthday, or was. But so Hook got a little emotional, had second thoughts, and said he left the bag in the middle of the ring and left. Hook is obviously very popular. Hook is real young and needs a bit more seasoning. Danhausen, Tony Khan's obviously getting his rub with how popular Danhausen is and how much merch or funds he's making from the merch of Danhausen. This feud, I'm not gonna say I enjoy it, but in a way it gives purpose, I guess. So we'll see how it corresponds on Dynamite. Shawn Spears, the champ, or excuse me, getting out of myself, sorry. So FTR, they were backstage. Danhausen talked about the legacy of Owen Hart, talked about Britt. He said he respects the wrestler Adam Cole, but he doesn't like the person Adam Cole. He said that he'll be damned if he loses and lets Adam Cole move on to the tournament. He said he's got to do it for himself, his brother, his family, and the Hart family. So it's going to be a good match on next week's Dynamite between Dax Harwood and Adam Cole, but I don't see Dax Harwood getting past Mr. Boom, Adam Cole. Yuka Sakazaki versus Riho. Two returning women, or two women making their returns to AEW. Riho, she hasn't fought since she lost to Britt Baker at Battle of the Belts, the first Battle of the Belts in January. And she suffered a shoulder injury, but she's okay now. Yuka, we haven't seen for, I think, a year. About along those lines, but Owen Hart Cup qualifier, I understand if people are not into the Joshi style of women's wrestling. This match I enjoyed. I think this match was hard hitting. This is good that both women brought it. And that's what I can enjoy or appreciate. So, Riho, she did a crossbody for a 2 count. But then Yuka, she was on the offensive. She hit a second rope senton from the apron to the outside. Back from break. Riho hit a dragon suplex. And they had exchange of pins back and forth. Riho hit some diving knees for a 2 count. This was a strange spot in the match. So they were on the top rope. And Yuka hit pretty much a top rope flatliner to Riho for near fall. Now, a usual flatliner, okay. Top rope almost makes it seem that, well, Yuka kind of digged herself up a bit, taking that bump because her back and the back of her head so managed to get some damage on Riho. Ultimately, Riho rolled up Yuka for the win. Riho advances and will be in the Owen Hart Cup tournament for the women. The bracket was then pulled up. So, interesting. So, on one side, you got Red Velvet versus Hikaru Shida. That should be a decent match. We know how Red Velvet has looked as of late with the baddies. So curious how that will go. We got Riho versus Ruby Soho next week. So that will be intriguing. But I imagine Ruby Soho and perhaps, well, either way, Ruby Soho versus Red Velvet, Ruby Soho versus Hikaru Shida, both would be good matches. Then on the other side, we got the expected Jamie Hayter versus Toni Storm. And then facing the winner of that, Britt Baker versus the Joker. Now, this is intriguing because Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter could advance and they could face each other. You could have Toni Storm versus Britt Baker. Dave alluded to that as well. But the Joker, like we talked about with the men on Dynamite, Toni Storm is in AEW. Throw out some names, Athena, Ember, aka the former Ember Moon, Nixon Newell, or Tegan Knox, or her contract just expired with WWE, and I know she just had a kid with Johnny Gargano, but Candice LeRae, that's another name to throw out there. So it's intriguing, but I'd say Athena is the way to go. And that would be one hell of a match to start the series or the tournament for AEW. Shawn Spears. He was backstage. He basically applied Wardlow, attributing his success in large part to Shawn Spears having his back, for a bit, being his accountability buddy. Saying that, even Superman had kryptonite, and that now that Wardlow's defeating these giants, he feels 50 times bigger than what he is. That he's the giant killer pretty much himself. So Spears then said, kryptonite is coming. So he set away his chair, which said giant killer. So there was that. I imagine Shawn Spears is going to have something to do with one of these conditions that MJF will have in the contract signing on Wednesday. We'll see. Men of the Year. They're out there with Dan Lambert. Dan Lambert, I did not know was from Baltimore. He was wearing a Baltimore Orioles shirt. That got a bit of a pop. But right back there, he clowned on the city's crab cakes and food, saying that they clowned on this once great city. Ethan Page, I like Scorpion Sky, but to me, I think Ethan Page should be where Scorpion Sky is. I mean, this promo was just so fiery. I mean, Ethan Page is one hell of a promo. Saying that you call that entertainment or professional wrestling, mocking Sammy Guevara and Scorpio Sky. Talked about the conditions of mixed tag. And he looked at Sammy saying, well, You don't seem like the guy to keep your word, so neither am I. So the mixed tag is off. Sammy Guevara and Ty Conti were there, which was a good thing. A good thing. So there was that. Frankie Kazarian came out there. The former tag team partner of Scorpio Sky. He talked about how, well, he said he doesn't respect Dan Lambert or Ethan Page. Praised Scorpio Sky, saying he believed in him. But he stepped aside that Scorpio Sky would get a shot. So there's that. The line of the night, probably. Scorpio Sky said the days. This line, I mean, Scorpio Sky said the days of this title getting passed around like Ty Conti backstage are over. I mean, that line by Scorpio Sky, it's just ay. But nonetheless, so Scorpio Sky then announced next week he'll give Frankie Kazarian his shot and Rampage next week. Scorpio Sky, Frankie Kazarian, TNT title. You know, the TNT title needs to be better. I believe this will be a good match. I think it will have some story to it, being former tag team partners. But Scorpio Sky does not give me the vibe that Miro, Cody, Darby gave me. So it's going to take some building, I would say, but we'll see. Maybe the page, I don't know, turns on Scorpio Sky. I don't know. We'll see. The main event was very good. Kind of surprised me. But fun match to end Rampage. Jay Lethal first from DT Wrestling of All Japan versus Kokosuke Takeshita. Hopefully I pronounced his name right, but I tell you, he wrestled a few matches last year. Here tonight, he delivered. He has a decent look. You know, he's fit. They say he's like 6'2", 230. He has a solid look, and he can go. And against Jay Lethal, one of the best, and it worked out well. But yeah, this match is good. Takeshita was handling himself tit for tat with Lethal. Takeshita literally launched himself off the ropes with a flying shoulder tackle, knocking down Lethal. He hit a big splash to the outside. Seeing who was on the outside, distracted Takeshita, and Lethal hit a dragon screw on Takeshita through the ropes, sent him to the outside. Lethal followed up with Suicida, went to break. This might have been the spot of the match. So they were fighting on the outside, or on the top rope, excuse me. Looked like Lethal was going for something. And all of a sudden, Takeshita hits this hard, big lariat clothesline to Lethal, sending him inside out off the top rope, crashing down to the mat. And Takeshita followed up with a near fall. Lethal was targeting the knee again, went for the figure four, but Takeshi countered to a nice brainbuster for a 2 count. Takeshi then hit a big lariat, followed with his big rising knee. Sanjay Dutt had the referee distracted. Funny quote by Jericho. He said, well, could Rick Knox be in Jay Lethal's faction? Because, I mean, you gotta be bald unless you're a giant. That was a nice little funny thing. So, ultimately, it was for a near fall for Takeshita. Finally, they had a series of counters. Lethal went for a roll-up, but Takeshi kicked out right into the lethal injection by Jay Lethal for the win. Great showing by Takeshita. First Jay Lethal, hell of a match. Afterwards, seeing Sanjay Dutt, they enjoy a post-match attack. The best friends, they were out there, came out there for the save to no avail. Although they attacked Dutt and Lethal, but there was that. Out came Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe, he was out there with a pipe, about to greet Satnam Singh, but that worked. He was greeted by security guards who pulled him from the ring. I mean, it seems in all likelihood Samoa Joe, whoever he faces as the Joker in the tournament, he's probably going to get cost his spot by Jay Lethal and Satnam Singh. So, curious to see, because Jay Lethal and Samoa Joe will be a hell of a match. So, that'll be good, but still curious who the Joker will be, but it'll be fun to see where it goes next week, if not the week after. But nonetheless, that's the episode for you guys. Hope you guys enjoy it. Again, decent episode, Rampage. Not a lot to it, but good stuff there. But again, if you're new to the podcast and if you want to see more videos, click the description. Also, if you like this video, click that like, leave a thumbs up. How about the channel? But good video. See you guys back next week. And once again, Rampage will be also Special start time again, so set your DVRs, but thank you all. Be safe. I made Joe to love. Peace.